What's going on, YouTubers? My name is Robert Serrano Jr., Natural Born Driller. Welcome everyone to WWE NXT UK reviews with 2 episodes basically. And this was taken from January 2nd, 2019, in Liverpool, England, with Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness on commentary. So the first thing I'm gonna get away first is episode 21. And then after that, I'll get to episode 22. Basically, same arena, same results. I mean, not same different results actually, but same commentators, same place, same date, same brand, except it was a different episode and different results too. Just saying. So what being said, let's start with episode 21. My camera almost fell there. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, that should be good. Alright, now let's begin. I'm gonna get rid of this, by the way. The opening match was Travis Banks, who's the Kiwi Buzzsaw. He goes up against Jamie Ahmed. Don't know who he is, but yeah, I just don't know who he is, but basically the match itself, it was pretty decent. Basically, it was to showcase Travis Banks, excuse me, and Travis Banks doesn't win the match. That's to say about it. Just again, just to show who the Kiwi Buzzsaw is all about. Also, we get Jordan Devlin coming out. He talks about Travis Banks, how he's fought all over the world, and now here he is in NXT UK along with with himself. Talks about he brings in paychecks for his families, and he's like has his mother ever heard from him and all that, and like it was similar to that. And then he says that basically she challenges him to a match, whenever that's going to be booked. And he says, and when that happens, if he does accept, then one thing for sure, you do not want to bet, or no way, never bet against the Ace, which Jordan Devlin is calling himself the Ace of NXT UK. And yeah, that was a promo that was basically taking it a little personal, where it pertains to mention his mother. And there you go. Next we get to Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan going up against Marcel Bardell and Fabian Eichner in the tag team match. And I thought it was pretty decent. And in the end, you had Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner ends up winning the match. They were pretty good as a tag team, based on how I've seen it. And by the way, it pertains to Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. As soon as they came out, because they've been teaming up for a while, and they have not been winning any matches as a tag team. So as soon as I saw them coming out, I said to myself, okay, who they're gonna lose to this time? And sure enough, we get to who they was gonna lose against, because they just not built up this new tag team between Marcel Bardell and Fabian Eichner. And from there, I like, yep, they're definitely gonna lose again, and that's exactly what happened. We get Ramsey. He was talking about something about something being about some doors are gonna be open. Basically he was from somewhere in this hallway, whatever. Also, he has his eyes on Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo, from where he was at. So he wants to see what's that all about. And basically they were talking about NXT UK's a takeover show for Blackpool, what pertains to Rhea Ripley for the NXT UK Championship. Deonna Purrazzo said that she feels like she belongs at that show. And then basically Tony Storm was like, well, prove to me by facing me. And if you could beat me, then you can have that spot. You basically Deonna Purrazzo could have a spot if she could beat her. And match yourself for the next episode of NXT UK, which I'll get to that momentarily. And there you go. As far as the segment was, I was like, it was too plant. Um, and it feel like anything was going on. When they did that, so it made it feel like it was important. You can't miss it. But yeah, it was nothing special about it. So then we get to Johnny Saint and Sis Scarlett. Let's talk about some matches Orlando for NXT UK. For for the Takeover show. Also, Joe Coffey shows up, being rude and obnoxious and basically demanding stuff, that because he's well deserving, and he says that everything that's pertains to NXT UK belongs to Joe Coffey, and he wants Pete Dunne, and he wants that UK championship, and he's gonna rip it off of him and all that. So they're gonna try to come back to him later on, and we'll get to that later on too, by the way, what pertains to that. It's obviously going to lead to Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne for NXT UK Takeover Blackpool, and we'll get to more of that. We'll get to more of that later. We get the return of Candy Floss. I talked about Candy Floss before when she had a match. I try to remember who she had a match with. Um, if I can remember, I think it was against Rhea Ripley, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, but don't quote me on that one. But yeah, I can see I saw her again wrestling, and I was the first time I wasn't I want to see more of her. If I could see if I can be impressed with her, and sure enough she has, and she went up against Jenny, by the way. Jenny, who's this model that's so full of herself, and she's a heel and she could wrestle too. So they had in the match. It was pretty good match. Candy Floss was showcasing what she can do in the ring, showing some spunk, showing some entertainment in the match, and also showing how she can wrestle too, and she could take some good bumps too as well. In the end, Jenny ends up winning, because they're showcasing Jenny to being an important factor in NXT UK's women's division. So, and I think Candy Floss will get her time to shine pretty soon. Where pertains to her winning the match. But as of right now, they're focusing on someone that looks like to be taken seriously. So we get Gallus, which is Joe Coffey. No, not Joe Coffey. Well, he was encouraging his brother Mark Coffey and Wolfgang for the match that's gonna be coming up. And hold on a second. Something for me. Okay. So yeah, for the match, which is the main event against Mustache Mountain, which is Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. Which, speaking of which, let's get to this match. So we get Mustache Mountain versus Mark Coffey and Wolfgang Gallus, and the winner of it, basically the winner of this match goes to an NXT Takeover Blackpool for an opportunity to become the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. But the question is, who's going to be the other team? I'll talk more about that. I'll talk more about that once I get to I believe either the next 3 episode or the next 4 episode of NXT UK. For one of those two. Either on the one it's gonna be the 3rd episode before we get to a takeover Blackpool for this coming Saturday, or the Go Home Show one, which is episode 4 of that one. But we'll see. I'll talk more about this whole NXT UK Tag Team Championship tournament that the way that they have done this. But other than that, but yeah, as far as this match was, this tag team match between Mustache Mountain versus Gallus. Again, you have Mark Coffey and Wolfgang in the match. Damn good match. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the tag team match to the fullest from the beginning to the end. Especially when what pertains to Joe Coffey. At first Joe Coffey leaded Gallus to the match, and then he left. Let these teams have it until the end. So in the end, Joe Coffey shows up because he was Mark Coffey signaling Joe Coffey to show up. He ends up being on the apron. Also, we get Pete Dunne returning, and he confronts Joe Coffey, and they start fighting. And the match, obviously the match continues. And then in the end, Mustache Mountain ends up winning the match. So they're going to NXT Takeover Blackpool to be in the NXT Tag Team, and the NXT UK Tag Team Championship finals. And again, I'll explain more about that when I get to episode 3 or 4 of what they did with that. But then after the match, a brawl was in pursuit, and basically you have Gaullist versus I was gonna say Mustache Mountain. Well, actually, it is Mustache Mountain, but with Pete Dunne together there, British Strong Style. So yeah, they end up fighting, and then British Strong Style ends up standing tall, and Pete Dunne cuts a promo saying, "You want me at Blackpool for my title? You got it." And then how they ended the show? They ended the show with these guys, Gaullist and British Strong Style fighting. Like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Like, good. We're gonna end the show. We're gonna end the show with a brawl, and that's what happened. Now who won the brawl? I had no idea. Only the people that were there, that saw it live. After the show went off the air. Only they know who won the fight there. But it was still good to see that fight though. After that announcement was made by Pete Dunne, and just wait for them to end the show too. You know, because they did some of that too. Once we get to episode 22, and I'll get to that right now. But before I do, let me just talk about the total of my wrestling for this show. 3 matches. No, actually 4 matches. I did not remember on the tag team match. But yeah, total wrestling for NXT UK from episode 21, 4 matches. My overall scoring for that show, I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'm gonna go. That's to me that's a fair score. 8 out of 10. That's the rating I'll give it. And that being said, now I'm about to go to episode 22. Episode 22. So here we go. For the second episode of NXT UK review, episode 2. I'll be getting up to for episode 22. Anyway, so yeah, enough of that. So Tony Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo was the opening match. So basically, winner gets to go to the Blackpool to take over show against Rhea Ripley. To sell who's going to face Rhea Ripley for the NXT UK Women's Championship title once and for all. Match itself, pretty good. I mean, no surprise there. Deonna Purrazzo, very good female wrestler, and Toni Storm, another pretty good female wrestler. They started with some good chain wrestling and some good wrestling holds. It was just pretty good. I don't know how to say it. Deonna Purrazzo ends up showing some mean streak, and then Toni Storm ends up, okay, so this is the fight this is the type of fight you want, and okay, let's do it, and that's what they did. They started bringing it. Deonna Purrazzo was getting the upper hand, going after the arm of Toni Storm, because she wants to go for the Fujiwara armbar to win the match. But yeah, back and forth action and good storytelling for Toni Storm for what pertains to her being vulnerable with her injured arm by Deonna Purrazzo. And then in the end, Toni Storm, as I expected, ends up winning against Deonna Purrazzo. Still ends up being the number one contender to face Rhea Ripley for the NXT UK Women's Championship title for NXT UK Takeover Blackpool. Speaking of the champion, Rhea Ripley comes out. She confronts Toni Storm, and that was basically it. Yeah, ignore that. But yeah, match is set for Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley, the rematch from their final from the finals of the NXT UK Women's Championship tournament. And this time, Toni Storm is gonna be 100%. It's gonna be 100% this time. Hopefully in the match too. Because she got hurt in the match during the last encounter. All right, but then we get to Ramsey. He goes to interview Johnny Saint and Sid Scarlett, and they talk about the whole this whole tag team championship tournament. And they say that Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews will be going up against Jamie Drake and Zach Gibson, and that'll be for the next NXT UK episode, which is the third one. I'll get up to. Basically, you'll get what you'll hear from about that too, from me, obviously. But yeah, there you go. That's to say about that. Then we get to Josh Morrell. This time we get to see him wrestle. This time, unlike last time, he goes against the Wild Boar, Mike Hensman. This was to showcase Mike Hensman. Hitchman, excuse me. Mike Hitchman, who's the wild board, to showcase what he can do, as a wrestler. Which I already know what he can do as a wrestler. He's pretty good, and this was no better. This is no different. I meant to say, excuse me, no better. Um, but yeah, Josh R. Morrell, he has some couple moves in, but again, this is all just this match was all just to showcase the wild board, and sure enough, that's what happened. And Mike Hitchman ends up winning the match. He finally wins the match on NXT UK, and hopefully we'll see more of him winning matches this time. So, and yeah, and they were pushing him very heavily too. Before the match too, by the way. So, basically with some video packages. So, Joseph Connors. He talks about 2 years ago. He's been with NXT UK, and he was sold in a lie. And then he talked about how these new toys were brought in, and they were sold in a lie about how NXT UK, basically the whole thing of we are NXT UK, and it says something about no, we are not NXT UK, and he says and then he says only, and it says something about you gotta only be about yourselves in a way, and basically says and he's gonna break these new toys, what pertains to NXT UK, for some new faces basically to be part of NXT UK. Basically, his goal is he's gonna break some new toys coming into NXT UK. Kind of like how the regular NXT shows with Cassius Ohno saying, he wants to fight these new toys that Rico's gonna be signing to NXT. Same thing here with Joseph Connors. He wants to face these new toys at NXT UK. So we'll see how that turns out too, by the way. Travis Banks, he talks about Jordan Devlin. Talks about how he's questioning him about not loving New Zealand, his home country, and basically he wants to accept Jordan Devlin's challenge. Basically, he wants to call him out. So, and we'll see if that ends up happening at Takeover. I'm assuming it's gonna be on Takeover, but then again, they might do something else where pertains to what they did on this show, but I'll get to it momentarily. But before I do, we get to Marcel Bardell and Fabian Aichner. They're confronting Sid Scarlett about, and basically they're arguing with him. You're saying that why is Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews are in the match when they should be in the match, for the NXT UK Tag Team Championship titles, for the, in the tournament. And then Sid Scarlett was like, "You guys haven't been here that long and everything." And he's like, he's like, and you guys not going, you guys should not be, and you guys should not be involved in that mismatch too, to cost them the match too, by the way, because it's gonna be Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews versus Drake and Gibson in this tournament. And basically, Fabian Aichner was gonna do something to Sid Scarlett, but then Marcus Bardell holds him back, and they was like, fine, and they walked away. Now I don't know what that mean. I don't know what that could mean, but we have to wait and see. And that'll be the next episode of NXT UK. Now let's get to the match. That was the final match on the show before we get to what was the main event slot to end the show. I say the main event segment. Dave Mastiff versus Eddie Dennis, and this was announced from the previous episode of NXT UK, from episode 21. And at the time I was saying to myself, wait a minute, you're not gonna save this to take over Blackpool? You're gonna save it. You're gonna do another one on the regular NXT UK show until they did what they did in this match. So the match began between Dave Mastiff and Eddie Dennis, and match itself started off pretty good, especially with how they fought outside the ring and they start fighting back inside the ring, and they both pushes the referee, causing a double disqualification, and they continue on fighting. We get a pull apart, but it still didn't work because with referees being out there, And then Sid Scala was trying to maintain control, but lost control. So the general manager of NXT UK, Johnny Sink, came out and he says, to these two, if you want each other, fine. You can have each other at Takeover, but it's going to be no disqualifications. And they agreed to it, and that was it. So the match is set up, and then in a way, I'm kind of happy. So yeah. In a way, I'm kind of happy, but at the same time, I still would have went with building up this match between these two for that show, takeover Blackpool, excuse me. Where who they're going to be room for one undefeated monster on NXT UK. I went with that route, but instead they decided to have Eddie Dennis lose early against Dave Mastiff, and then Eddie Dennis is obsessed of getting back at Dave Mastiff, and then and that's when they did this match, and then what pertains to the disqualification by call by the referee, they're going to do the match again, third time. This time, no disqualifications. If they would have just had Eddie Dennis win by disqualification, that would have been fine for me, because at least you get them one piece wins. Even though Dave Matthews was stupid undefeated, because he would just been disqualified. But no, they didn't go that route, unfortunately. So whatever. Before I move on, talk about wrestling for NXT UK for episode 22. 3 matches. Yes, 3 matches. Now let's get to the contract signing before I give my overall show rating. So there was a contract signing to make it official at Takeover Blackpool between the number one contender Joe Coffey facing the NXT UK champion Pete Dunne, who Joseph said at the time he so far has held on to the belt for 600 days and counting, basically surpassing Brock Lesnar's run as Universal Champion, surpassing AJ Styles' run as WWE Champion. Well, he ain't lying there. What pertains to WWE Championship titles, no matter what division it is, no matter, yeah, he's right there. Pete Dunne is the longest reigning champion. However, it's not gonna say that he's the longest WWE champion. It's just gonna say he's the longest WWE United Kingdom champion. So it's a difference for that one though. So, but kind of like how people saying Brock Lesnar broke the record of CM Punk's record because he held on to the Universal Championship title, even though it's supposed to be the WWE it's supposed to be the WWE Championship title. The title that Daniel Bryan's got right now. But anyways, so we get Giant Saint and Sid Scala involved in this contract signing, obviously, and Joe Coffey comes out, and then Pete Dunne comes out, the NXT UK champion. And Joe Coffey cuts a promo by saying, everything in NXT UK is his. And he says that in that title, it's going to be his too. And he says that Pete Dunne's been champion for too long. And the reason why he's been champion for too long is because he hasn't faced anyone like Joe Coffey. Basically he wasn't there to make sure that that reign didn't happen. And he says that, he's going to take that belt away from him at Blackpool. And he signs a contract. Also, Pete Dunne grabs his finger after he was done signing the contract, basically breaks the finger, and then he signs the contract and says, "You talk too much," and he's like, "I'll see you at Takeover," and he's going to still be the champion, and he's going to leave. But then we see Gallus, which is Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, coming out, and then Joe Coffey blindsides Pete Dunne, and they push him through a table. And that's how the show ended. And there you go. And I already talked about how many matches were on the card already. 3 matches. Just a reminder. And my overall rating for the show, I'm gonna go 7.5 out of 10. I thought episode 21, I meant to say, was better than episode 22, but this was still a good show too, in a way. And there you go. And that being said, thank you all for watching. If this is your first time watching me, this is The Natural Born Thriller, please subscribe to me. I haven't done so right now. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever you prefer. So, that being said, hope you enjoyed these NXT UK review with 2 episodes that I just did, with episode 21 and 22, from the show from January 2nd, 2019. And I apologize for this late review of it, but I had to get out of the way right now because we're getting close to NXT UK Takeover Blackpool, so that's why and you'll get another one on the same day, the other 2 episodes that I'll be doing, which are it was from this past week, but again I'm gonna get that up to after this one. So that being said, thank you all for watching. You all take care. I'll talk to you all soon. But for now, peace on the streets.